Hello everyone, my name is Elsa Iggiotti, I'm a clinical psychologist, and today I want to share my advices about how to find the right therapist for you. Okay, you decided to see a therapist. Maybe that decision took you days, weeks, months, even years to take, but you feel it's the right decision for you right now. Or maybe you're still hesitating on whether to see a therapist or not. If that's your situation, you might be interested in my other video, Should You Go and See a Therapist? I'll link it here and down below. I used to work in a hospital and in an organization, and then I would see patients for about 1 to 10 sessions, and then if there was a need for a longer therapy, I would reorient them towards another therapist. I always gave them advices on how to choose their therapist. It's really important to find the right person to work with, someone you really feel comfortable with, because during this work you're going to put yourself in a very vulnerable position, and it's really important that the person in front of you is someone you can trust. If you don't choose the right therapist from the beginning, you might just stop the therapy or think it's not for you, and you will lose an opportunity to know yourself better, to heal, and also to create a beautiful relationship with another human being. It's really important to remember that therapists are actually human beings. They have emotions, they have passions, and some of them are more advanced on the path towards themselves than others that can be less or more aware. Like everyone, they're not perfect, and they are on their own path of learning. They can be more or less competent or more or less adapted to this or that patient. Someone who's right for you might not be right for someone else, and vice versa. The reason why I'm telling you that is that a lot of people tend to see therapists as kind of superhuman, and they idealize them so much. It's not really a helpful attitude when you want to actually choose a therapist that might or might not be right for you. I'm going to give you 7 advices that can help you find the right therapist for you. The first advice I want to give you is know what you're looking for. Do you want to explore your whole childhood and get to know yourself thoroughly? Do you have like a long-term problem? Or is it more of a short-term issue, like getting through a divorce or through a disease, for example? Do you have a preference between a male and a female therapist? Do you have a preference about the type of therapy? For example, cognitivist or psychoanalysis? Or do you not know exactly what the problem are, but you feel you need some guidance? It's good to know what you're looking for in the beginning, but that can always change along the way. You might start with one tiny problem and a whole line of problems come with it, and there's no end to them. About the type of therapy, my opinion is, well, there are slight differences between methods, but the most important part is really having a good relationship with a therapist. My second advice relates to the actual searching. And what I think is the best way to go about it is search in the way that makes you most comfortable. Maybe you don't want all your friends to know about the fact you're going to see a therapist and you don't want to ask them. So you can go on the internet and find therapists who have good websites on which they write about them, maybe have a picture, or maybe their client wrote a review about them that makes you trust them. Or if you have friends or family who do see a therapist and you have no problem asking them, of course you don't want to see the same therapist as your friend or family. So my advice is to call your friend's therapist and ask them for names of other therapists. This way it's still someone in your network of trust. Another way to go about it is just like follow your intuition. If you go down the street and you see like therapist or psychologist written on the building and you go like, that might be something for me there, you can always give it a try. My third advice, And if I had to choose only one, that would be this one every time. Look for a therapist until you find the right one. Lots of therapists offer the first session for free because it's the session in which you just get to know each other and decide together if you want to embark on this journey together. And even if you spent money and time and energy in the first session, if you didn't like the person, don't waste any more of it going back. Some people might find the right fit right from the beginning, but for some others, they will have to see 2, 3, 4, maybe more therapists until they do. Just be patient. There's a right therapist for you out there, I promise you. Just keep looking and you'll find him or her. My fourth advice is to trust yourself on that decision. No one but you can know who the right therapist is for you, and probably you're just gonna have a gut feeling about it. You're gonna just know if the person is right for you, and if you have a doubt, that's probably not it. Maybe that person is great, maybe they're clever, maybe they're charming, maybe they're understanding, but if there is something even just a little bit bugging you about that person, well, don't compromise. It's your personal journey we're talking about. It's an important decision and you should not go with someone who's not right for you. My fifth advice is to make sure that the therapist in front of you is not judging you. Whatever you do or say, you feel no judgment coming from that person, because that person knows that whatever is happening in your life right now is the consequence of your past and sometimes of your past sufferings, and that you're doing the best you can with who you are. You feel that the person is on your side and ready to help you on this journey. My sixth advice is to choose a therapist that you feel can understand you. Of course, the therapist is not going to be able to magically read your mind, but they need that healthy dose of empathy that allows them to put themselves in your shoes, to understand your emotions or your thought processes, and maybe to be able to explain them to you. It's also important to have an appropriate therapist if you come with a certain type of issue. A lot of therapists, for example, are totally unable to deal with patients who live through traumas or abuse. They are a very common problem, and more therapists are getting trained to help with those. There are quite complex psychological mechanisms in trauma, and not all therapists just know about them. Same thing if you have issues about your weight or about your relationship, you might want to work with a therapist who knows a lot about this and who can help you through that. Another thing that shows that a therapist really understands you is that they respect your process and your personal sense of time. Sometimes it's really not the right time to tell you about something they might feel about you or your past. And sometimes you're just not making any progresses and they have to be able to help you move forward. The seventh thing to look for in a therapist is the ability to put oneself into question. So the question is, if you come to your therapist and tell them that something they said or didn't make you exactly comfortable, or that you think there is something wrong in the relationship as it is, what is their reaction? Do they take responsibility for what they did? Do they try to start a dialogue about how to do things better in the future? Or do they try to completely justify themselves and say, no, I have no problem whatsoever. Maybe you do have a problem, let's talk about you. Well, that's a big red flag to me. That is actually something that happened to me with one of my therapists, and that was completely part of the reason why I stopped seeing her. Here you go, those were my advices about how to find the right therapist for you. Tell me if you liked the video, don't hesitate to subscribe if you want to see more content about how to become who you truly are, and I'll see you next time.